Ravi stood quietly at the edge of the grand hall. His hands were in his pockets, and his eyes moved across the crowd. He had never seen so many different kinds of beings in one place. Some had long arms that reached the floor. Little above the ground, others had smooth silver skin that reflected the light. They were all students of the Galactic Academy. It's the most respected learning center in the universe, and Ravi was the only human. He had come from Earth as part of a new program. The Galactic Council wanted to test if humans could study and live with other species. Many had doubts. Humans, they said, were emotional, slow to learn, and not advanced. Ravi heard those whispers many times in the past 6 months. He had tried his best, he studied hard. He helped others when he could. But still, most students looked at him like he did not belong. Today was selection day. It's the most important day at the academy. It was the time when students chose their life partners not for love, but for work, missions, and leadership tasks. The chosen pairs would train together, learn together, and represent their worlds together. It was a great honor. The ceremony was held in the tall sky dome, a shining glass structure that showed the stars above. A large round stage stood in the center. Around it were hundreds of seats, filled with students and teachers. Tall screens showed each pair as they stepped. Onto the stage, Ravi sat in the last row. He didn't expect anything. He knew no one would choose a human. He had even heard one student say, "Let him sit quietly. This is not his day." He told himself he didn't mind. But deep inside, he felt a little heavy. Still, he smiled softly and watched the ceremony begin. One by one, students came on stage. Names were called. Choices were made. Each pair received a small star mark, a glowing badge showing their connection. Some students smiled, others looked proud, some cheered. Others stood tall and silent. Then the head of the academy stood up. He was a tall, blue-skinned being with 6 eyes and a kind voice. "Now," said the top student of this class, "will make her choice." Everyone grew quiet. A light shone on the side entrance. From there, Li Ray stepped forward. Li Ray was known across the galaxy. She was the daughter of the High Chancellor of Virion, one of the most powerful planets. But more than that, she was brilliant, calm, wise, and fair. She had perfect marks in all tests. She never showed off. She never laughed too loudly. But everyone respected her. She walked slowly, her white robes flowing like soft light, or silver. Eyes moved over the crowd. The other students sat taller, hoping she would choose them. She picked someone strong. One student whispered. "No," said another. "She'll pick a telepath, someone with mind power." Ravi didn't think anything. He just watched then. Something strange happened. Li Ray reached the center of the stage. She turned and looked straight at the back row. Straight at Ravi. First, Ravi didn't move. He thought maybe she was looking at someone else, but her eyes didn't leave him. The hall grew quiet. It's very quiet. Then Li Ray spoke clearly. "I choose the human." A wave of shock passed through the crowd. Whispers turned into gasps. "The human? Did she say? Him? She must be joking." But she wasn't. Li Ray stood still, her face calm. She repeated, "Yes, I choose Ravi of Earth." Ravi blinked, looked left and right, then he slowly stood up. His heart was beating fast. His hands were cold. Walked toward the stage, feeling every eye on him. When he reached Li Ray, she smiled. Just a little. She held out her hand. He placed his hand in hers. The star mark appeared above them, glowing soft gold, the symbol of their new bond. A few students clapped. Others stayed silent. Some looked confused. Some looked angry. One tall student with green skin said loudly, "But he has no gifts, no powers." Larry turned her head slightly and said, "He feels more than any of you. That is a gift you do not understand yet." The tall student went quiet. Ravi stood beside her, still unsure what was happening. His voice was low. "Are you sure?" he asked later. He replied, "Yes, I am." The head of the academy nodded. "It is done," he said. "Let the bond be honored." Ravi and Li Ray walked off the stage together. People moved aside for them, but many kept watching. Ravi whispered, "Thank you. I thought no one would ever choose me." Lorraine said, "You were already chosen. You just didn't know it." The selection ceremony was over, but the noise in the academy halls had only just begun. Whispers filled every corner. Some students spoke quietly. Others asked questions with disbelief in their voices. "Did you see that? She really picked him, but he's just a human." Ravi could feel the stares. He walked through the corridor with Lee Ray beside him. Her steps were calm, her face peaceful. But Ravi's heart still beat fast. He had never been this close to so much attention before. Not all of it was friendly. They reached the pairing garden. A quiet green space at the edge of the academy grounds was where new pairs sat to talk for the first time. Trees from different planets grew. Here, some had silver leaves, others glowed in the dark. A blue stream ran through the middle, making soft music-like sounds. Ravi sat down on a smooth stone bench. Lee Ray sat beside him. There was a moment of silence. "I still don't understand," Ravi said slowly. "Could have chosen anyone." "You're Lee Ray. Everyone respects you." She looked at him with soft silver eyes. "That is exactly why I chose you," Ravi blinked. "What do you mean?" Lee Ray tilted her head slightly. "I watched many students. They are strong, yes, fast, skilled, powerful. But they all think in the same way. They solve problems with tools, numbers, or rules. You see things differently, Ravi. Look down. I don't have powers. I can't float or speak with my mind. All I have are old earth tricks. I cook with fire. I draw on paper." "That is what makes you different," Lee Ray replied. "And sometimes different is what the galaxy needs." Ravi gave a small smile, though doubts still lived in his mind. Meanwhile, across the academy, the student council chamber was full of talk. Leaders from different species were gathered. They had heard about Lee Ray's choice and wanted to understand. A tall, golden-skinned student named Velen stood up. "We must speak with Lee Ray," she must explain. "The humans are not ready." Another student with crystal wings added, "This could change the order of the academy. The top student picks a human, others may follow." The council decided to request a meeting with Lee Ray and Ravi the next day. They wanted answers. But none of them understood what Lee Ray saw. That night, Ravi couldn't sleep. He lay in his bed, staring at the soft blue lights on the ceiling. His mind was full of questions. Why me? Will I fail her? What if I make a mistake? He got up and walked outside. The academy was quiet. Stars shone brightly in the sky. In the distance, he saw a small figure standing near the garden. It was Lee Ray. He walked toward her. "You don't sleep either?" She turned and nodded. "Sometimes the stars speak better than dreams." They sat together under a glowing tree. Ravi asked, "Do you always know what you're doing? You always seem so sure?" Lee Ray paused. "No, I just listen carefully. Not to noise, but to silence. That's where real answers live." Ravi nodded slowly. "Earth is loud. Too many voices. Too many opinions." "Your planet is young," Lee Ray said. "But your people feel deeply. That is rare." He looked at her, surprised. "You've studied Earth." "Yes. My mother told me once, if you want to lead, you must understand those who are ignored." They sat in silence again. Ravi felt something new, something warm. It was not love. Not yet. But it was something like respect, mixed with wonder. The next morning, the academy bell rang 3 times. That meant a council request, a serious matter. Lee Ray and Ravi entered the tall Council Room 10. Students stood in a circle, wearing symbols of their planets. The head of the academy was also present, watching quietly. Velen stepped forward. "Lee Ray of Virion, we ask you to explain your choice." Lee Ray bowed slightly. "I chose with full thought. No rule was broken." "Still," said another council member, "you must tell us why." Lee Ray looked around the room. "All of you think greatness means strength, power, abilities. But true greatness also lives in kindness, in creativity, in the ability to feel." She turned toward Ravi. Ravi helped 3 students last month without being asked. One was injured, one was lost, one had failed a test. No one noticed, but I did. He listens, he learns, he understands. Ravi felt his face turn red. He hadn't known she had seen all that. Velen folded his arms. But that does not mean he is ready. Ravi stepped forward. His voice was quiet but steady. Maybe I'm not ready yet, but I'm willing. I came here to learn. I didn't expect to be chosen, but now that I will give everything I can. The room was silent. Finally, the head of the academy stood. The bond is made. Let it be tested in the field. Let them prove their strength not through words, but through action. After the meeting, Ravi and Lee walked outside. Thank you, Ravi said. You stood up for me. That is what matters. Most. Ravi smiled. What happens now? She looked at him with a spark in her eyes. Now we begin training. Together. And as they walked into the next chapter of their journey, Ravi felt something shift. Not just in the way others saw him, but in the way he saw himself. For the first time since coming to the academy, he believed he might actually belong. Days passed, but the talk about Laray's choice didn't stop. Everywhere Ravi went, someone stared or whispered. Some looked curious, some looked confused. A few even smiled. But many still looked at him like he didn't belong. Ravi tried to ignore it. He focused on his new training sessions with Lee. Each pair was now in bond training, learning how to work together, solve problems, and build trust. Some pairs struggled. Others worked smoothly. Ravi had never done training like this before, but with Lee beside him, things felt possible. They started with simple tasks, solving alien logic puzzles, lifting energy blocks using teamwork, and learning basic ship control. Ravi was slow at first, but Lee was patient. She never laughed when he made a mistake. She only asked, "What did you notice?" And when he answered, she would nod and say, "Good. Let's try again." One day during training, all teams were asked to perform the synchronization test. It measured how well pairs could move and act together. 2 students were blindfolded and had to move through a dark maze by trusting each other's voice. Most teams used telepathy or vision codes. Ravi had none of those. But Lee didn't mind. "We'll do it your way," she said. When it was their turn, Ravi wore the blindfold first. Lee guided him with calm words. "Step forward. Slow, now left. Watch your foot, there's a step." Ravi listened carefully. Her voice felt like light in the dark. Right. He trusted her. He made it through. Then it was Lee's turn to wear the blindfold. Ravi felt nervous. What if he messed up? But she waited calmly. He took a deep breath and spoke softly. "Turn a little right. Yes, now forward. Stop. There's a wall. Step. To the side. Good." They finished faster than anyone expected. The trainers gave them high marks. Some students clapped politely. A few looked surprised. Ravi smiled to himself, and not because of the score, but because he and Lee worked as a team. That evening, they sat near the academy pond. Soft blue lights floated on the water like stars. "You were amazing," Ravi said. Lee looked at him. "So were you." He shook his head. "You were blindfolded, yet you walked like you weren't scared at all." "I wasn't," she said, "because I trusted your voice." Ravi looked into the water, watching the lights float. "Back on Earth," he said, "I never really fit in. I was quiet. I liked books and drawing. I didn't run fast. I wasn't popular. People called me strange." Lee turned to him. "Being strange only means being different. And sometimes different is the path to something new." Ravi smiled, liked how she spoke. Simple, but deep. A few days later, all teams were told they would take part in a simulation challenge. It was a test where the academy placed pairs in a controlled environment with a task to complete. It tested brain, skill, and teamwork. This year's challenge was on training planet Zora, a small world covered with forests, rivers, and hidden puzzles. Each pair would be dropped in a different area. They had to reach a marked beacon within 24 hours, solving problems along the way. "Remember," said the trainer, "this is not a race. It's a test of connection." On the morning of the mission, Ray and Ravi boarded the shuttle. Ravi carried a small backpack with tools, rope, and a map. Ray had a scanner and a data tablet. As the shuttle flew over Zora, Ravi looked outside. The forests below glowed with soft green light. Small creatures ran through the trees. When the shuttle stopped, the door opened. Soft voice said, "Team 7, release." They stepped out into the forest. The door closed behind them. The first hour was calm. They walked through the trees, following the map. Then they came across a broken bridge over a wide river. The beacon signal showed the path continued on the other side. "There must be another way," Ravi said, checking the map. "There's not," Ray replied after scanning. "The other paths loop back." Ravi looked at the broken bridge. "I have an idea." He gathered long branches, vines, and pieces of metal they found nearby. Then he began building a simple rope bridge. Ray helped tie the vines. She followed his lead, even though it was not her usual way. When it was ready, they crossed one by one. The bridge shook, but it held. On the other side, Ravi smiled. "Earth-style engineering?" Ray nodded. "Very effective." As they walked deeper, they reached a puzzle gate. Symbols floated in the air, and a voice said, "Match the emotion to the sound." Most alien students solved these puzzles with mind links or advanced training. But Ravi did something different. He closed his eyes. He listened carefully to each sound. One made him feel peaceful, like watching rain. Another reminded him of a warm campfire. Another made him feel lost, like he was alone. He told Ray what each one felt like. Now she entered the emotions into the gate system. The puzzle opened. "You used feelings as your guide," Ray said softly. "It's how we learn on Earth," Ravi answered. "Through stories, through feeling." By evening, they reached the beacon. It glowed gently on top of a small hill dot. They touched it together. A soft tone played, and the test ended. A beam of light lifted them back to the academy. When they returned, the trainers shared the results. Out of all the teams, Ravi and Ray were one of the highest scoring pairs. Not for speed, but for creativity, balance, and emotional strength. The council, watching from above, was silent. But one elder finally said, "Perhaps we were wrong about humans." Ravi stood beside Ray as she accepted the praise. For the first time, no one looked at him as less. They looked at him with something new respect. Ray glanced at him and whispered, "You see the world through feeling? It's rare in this galaxy." Ravi whispered back, "And you believed in me when no one else did." After the simulation challenge, everything changed. Ravi was no longer just the human. He was now known as the student who helped his team reach the beacon. In the most creative way, some still whispered behind his back, but many had started to look at him with curiosity and even admiration. But Ravi didn't let it go to his head. He kept training, kept learning. Ray was still his partner, and he didn't want to let her down. One morning, a message appeared on the training screens. "Next trial, Tehran Moon Survival Mission. All bonded pairs report at Dock C." Ravi read it twice. Tehran Moon was a cold, quiet place with empty plains, strange winds, and no advanced systems. The test there was a special one. It measured trust, problem-solving, and survival without help from the academy. "Are you ready for this?" Ravi asked Ray, walking beside her toward the dock. She gave a small nod. "I trust you. That's enough." Ravi smiled, though his stomach felt tight. "Let's hope the moon is friendly." They reached Dock C, where 10 pairs stood waiting. A trainer named Marla, who had copper-colored skin and 4 arms, gave the instructions. "You will be dropped in different locations across the Tehran Moon," she said. "You will have one mission. Reach the central point and activate the signal tower. There will be no digital help, only what you carry and what you find." She handed each team a small bag with basic supplies: water, food packets, rope, an energy light, and one data tablet that could only be used once for emergencies. Marla looked at each team seriously. This test is not about speed. It is about how you work together when things don't go as planned. The shuttle landed with a soft hiss on the gray surface of Tiran. The door opened, and cold air rushed in. The ground was made of flat stones, and strange hills rose in the distance. A purple sky stretched above them, dotted with 3 small moons. Ravi stepped out first. "Well, it's not Earth," he joked. Lee followed. No trees, no wind, only silence. The door closed behind them, and the shuttle flew away. They were alone now. Ravi opened the small map in the bag. "The signal tower is 30 marks east," he said, "but there's a gap valley ahead. We need to go around it." They started walking. After 2 hours, a strong dust wind began. It wasn't dangerous, but it made it hard to see. Ravi took out his scarf and tied it around his face. Lee used her long robe to block her mouth. They kept moving slowly. Suddenly, Lee stopped. "Wait," she said. "There's something strange." Ravi looked around. He saw a small black circle on the ground like a hole. When he bent down to check, the ground beneath his foot gave way. "Ravi!" Lee shouted. He slipped into the hole, landing with a thud. It wasn't deep, just a hidden cave under the surface. He looked up and saw her face above. "I'm okay," he said, brushing dust off his arms. "Stay still. I'll find something," Lee said calmly. Within minutes, she tied the rope to a rock and lowered it. Ravi held on and pulled himself up. She held the rope steady until he climbed out. Breathing hard, he sat on a flat rock. That was close. "You didn't panic," she said. "That's a good sign." He looked at her. "You didn't either." They continued their journey. Along the way, they faced other problems: cold areas where their hands went numb, strange rocks that blocked the path, and one time a loss of direction when the compass stopped working. But each time they worked together. Ravi used simple ideas. He learned on Earth like drawing arrows in the dust, marking paths with pebbles, warming hands by rubbing them together. Lee used her scanner to read the lens energy lines and matched it with the shape of the hills. Together, their minds worked like 2 sides of a coin. By nightfall, they found a small cave to rest. Ravi started a small fire using dried grass and a metal spark tool. Lee shared a food packet, something soft and sweet from her planet. They sat quietly near the firelight. "This place feels lonely," Ravi said. "Not lonely," Lee replied. "Just quiet." He looked at her. "You're not scared of being alone?" She shook her head. "I was trained to find peace in silence. But I think I prefer it now with someone else nearby." Ravi smiled. "Even if that someone is just a human?" She looked at him with soft eyes. "You're not just anything. You're you." For a moment, the cold moon didn't feel so cold. The next morning, they reached the signal tower. It was tall, old, and covered with moon dust. The power panel was damaged. "The system was off. We need to fix it," Lee said. Ravi examined the panel. "The main power line is broken. I think we can reroute it." They worked together. Lee used the scanner to trace the energy line. Ravi used the wire kit from his pack to create a new path. After almost 2 hours, they reconnected the power. The tower lit up with a soft hum. A green light blinked at the top. "We did it," Ravi said. Lee smiled. Together, the emergency tablet blinked. Mission complete. Extraction in 20 minutes. Back at the academy, the trainers reviewed the footage. Marla looked impressed. They stayed calm through every trial. Good problem solving. Natural teamwork. One of the council members leaned back. "The human surprises us again," another said. "Maybe this pairing wasn't a mistake after all." When Ravi and Lee returned, students waited near the landing bay. Some looked curious. Some even clapped as the pair stepped out. Ravi felt nervous, but Lee whispered, "Hold your head high. You earned it." They walked through the crowd, side by side. Later that night, while sitting near the garden again, Ravi asked, "Do you think they'll accept me now?" Lee looked at the stars. "They're already starting to."
But more importantly,
"Do you accept yourself?" Ravi was quiet for a moment. Then he nodded. I think I'm starting to. The halls of the Galactic Academy were calm, but something silent was building in the air, a quiet tension. After Ravi and Lee returned from Tiran Moon and completed the survival mission successfully, students began to see Ravi in a new way. He was no longer just the human. He was now the one who fixed the signal tower, the one who didn't give up, and the one who worked in balance with Lee. Some younger students looked at him with admiration. A few from other species even came to speak with him, asking how he fixed things without powers, but not everyone was pleased. Inside the tall tower known as the Academy Assembly Hall, a group of senior leaders and council members gathered. These were elder students, teachers, and ambassadors from across the galaxy. They made decisions about rules, progress, and future missions. They had been watching Ravi and Lee closely since the partner selection ceremony. One of them, a tall being with pale skin and long ears, named Saran, spoke in a deep, steady voice. We must speak about this. Another, a crystal-skinned woman named Vea, agreed. Lear is not just any student. She is daughter of the High Chancellor. Her choices reflect on the Council. Choosing a human still untested is risky. A third member, a four-eyed elder, named Halrix, added, So far, the human is passed. But are we seeing luck or true ability? They decided to call Lee to speak before the assembly. Quietly, without warning, the next day, Lee received a soft message tone. The text was short. You are requested by the Academy Assembly at second bell. Come alone. She showed it to Ravi. Is this normal? He asked. She shook her head. Not for students. It's only for matters of high importance. What do you think? It's about me? Yes, she said softly. But it doesn't change anything. At second bell, Lee walked into the assembly hall. The large round room was filled with quiet voices. Lights floated above like stars. She stood in the center circle while the council watched from above. Saran spoke first. Lee Avirian. Thank you for coming. She bowed her head politely. You have been an excellent student. Your results are unmatched. Your behavior is wise and balanced, Saran continued. But we question your recent decision, the choice of your bond partner. Lee stood tall. I made my choice with full understanding. No rule was broken. Halrix's four eyes blinked slowly. Correct. But rules are only part of the concern. You are a leader. Leaders guide others by their actions. If you choose a human, what message does it send? Lee replied calmly. It sends a message of courage, of unity, and of seeing value in what others ignore. Vea asked. Do you believe the human can lead? Lee looked around the room. He leads with feeling. He notices small things. He does not act out of pride, listens before speaking. He respects all life. Saran raised an eyebrow. Still, his kind is new to us. Earth has only recently joined the Galactic Council. Their people are emotional, slow to adapt, loud. Lee smiled slightly. And yet, they survived for thousands of years with no help. They built art, language, and stories. They may be young, but youth carries a strong fire. Some in the assembly whispered quietly. Halrix leaned forward. Then tell us, Lee, do you stand by your choice fully, even now? She answered without hesitation. Yes, I would choose him again, in front of all. While Lee stood in the assembly, Ravi walked alone in the garden. He looked at the glowing trees, feeling something inside nervousness. He knew where she had gone, and he knew it had to do with him. A few students passed by and nodded to him. One even said, Good job on Tiran, gave a quiet thanks, but his heart felt heavy. Just then, someone called his name. It was Juno, a student from the water world, with smooth blue skin and friendly eyes. They called her to the assembly, didn't they? Yes, Ravi said. Some don't like change, Juno replied. But I do. I think it's time we learn from each other, not just show off who's stronger. Ravi smiled. Thanks. That means a lot. You're doing better than most of us, Juno said with a wink. What? Can you do it without flying or glowing? That's something. Ravi laughed softly. For a moment, the worry faded. Later that evening, Lorraine returned. Ravi met her near the old stone bench in the garden. What did they say? He asked gently. She sat beside him. They asked questions. They showed doubt. Did they ask you to change partners? No, she said, but they hoped I would say I had made a mistake. And did you? She turned to him with the same calm strength he always saw in her. I told them I would choose you again, in front of everyone. Ravi didn't speak for a moment. His heart felt full. I don't know what to say, he whispered. Then don't say anything. She replied with a soft smile. They sat together in silence, under the silver light of the twin moons. The next morning, a notice appeared on the Academy's main board. Team 7 has passed the Tier-In trial with highest marks in unity, creativity, and emotional strength. Their bond is recognized and honored. Ravi stood in front of the board, reading the message again and again. Around him, students stopped and read it too. One tall student, who once doubted him, now said, You proved us wrong, human. Another, a student from the Starside class, said, Maybe we should learn Earth-style teamwork. Ravi turned and saw Lee standing nearby. She gave him a small nod. He walked toward her and said, We didn't just pass the test. We changed their minds. She nodded. Not all of them, but enough to start something. Ravi looked at the stars above the Academy. They sparkled gently. Do you think things will get easier now? He asked. Not easier, she said. Clearer. And they continued walking side by side into the next challenge. No longer as the human and the princess, but as a team the galaxy had begun to notice. The days after the assembly passed quietly. Ravi and Liari continued their classes, their training, and their shared tasks as a bonded team. Ravi was starting to feel like the Academy was no longer a place where he didn't belong. Now, it was a place where he could belong, and maybe even grow into someone important. Some students now came to ask him for advice. Others invited him to join team discussions. Even the teachers had started to notice his thinking style different, but useful. But peace never stayed too long at the Galactic Academy. One morning, a school alarm rang, not just the normal class. Bell but the emergency alarm, red lights flashed across the halls. A voice echoed through the building. All teams to command stations. Immediate situation. Crisis at Zendra Point. Students looked at each other in shock. Zendra Point was the location of the main energy shield that protected the Academy from cosmic storms and strange space waves. If something happened, there it could affect the entire school. Lee stood quickly. We must go. Ravi followed. What kind of crisis? I don't know yet, she said. But if it's Zendra Point, it's serious. They reached the command hall, where teachers and tech leaders stood in front of large display screens. Screens showed Zendra Point, a rocky area on the edge of the Academy's sky border. A tall energy tower stood there, its lights flickering weakly. One of the teachers, Marla, explained, The energy tower is losing power. The shield generator is not responding to normal resets. If the shield goes down, space radiation could enter the Academy. All flight routes will stop. All outside connections will close. We have 90 minutes to solve the problem. Lorraine raised her hand. Are the machines damaged? Marla shook her head. No damage. But the system won't accept any input. It's like it doesn't recognize our commands. Another student, Juno, added. We tried 3 teams already. All of them failed to restart the system. Nothing works. Ravi stepped forward slowly. Can I see the code? Everyone looked at him. You want to see the shield code? Marla asked, surprised. Yes, Ravi said. Maybe it's not broken. Maybe it just needs a different way of speaking. Minutes later, Ravi and Lee stood inside the small control room at Zendra Point. The tall tower outside pulsed with flickering blue light. The control panel blinked red. Lee scanned the outer wall. No physical damage. It's all system failure. Ravi sat at the control desk. He looked at the lines of code on the screen. To others, it looked like endless numbers and alien symbols. But Ravi noticed something strange. "This rhythm," he said slowly. "It feels like music." "Music?" Larray asked. "Yes. On Earth, we have something called loop rhythm in old digital songs. I used to write music codes when I was young. This line of code moves like a song for beats. Rest, repeat." He leaned forward, thinking deeply. Maybe the system is waiting for a pattern, not logic, but a feeling. Larray watched quietly, but she didn't interrupt. Ravi took out his small data tablet. He typed in a soft sequence of sound-based coda, method humans used for simple memory programs. He rewrote the reset command not as numbers, but as a gentle beat pattern. Tap, pause, tap, tap, pause, tap. Then he pressed send. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the tower outside gave a soft hum. The red lights turned. Orange, then green. The screen blinked. System restart successful. Energy wave stable. Shield holding at 97%. Everyone in the control room cheered. Ravi sat back, surprised and relieved.
Larray looked at him
with a proud smile, spoke to the system in a way no one else could. Back at the academy, the teachers gathered quickly. Marla stood in front of the students and announced, "The crisis is over. Thanks to Ravi and Larray, Zendra Point is safe. The shield is restored. The academy continues without danger." The room filled with cheers. Some students clapped for the first time in Ravi's honor. Others smiled and patted his back. Even the older students who once doubted him nodded in quiet respect. Larray stood beside him, calm as always. "You saved the shield," she said. "No," Ravi replied. "We did." Later that night, as the stars lit up the sky above the academy, Ravi and Larray sat by the reflection pond. The water was still. Light ripples danced across the surface. Ravi picked up a smooth stone and dropped it gently into the water. "You know," he said softly, "a few months ago, I was just a quiet student from Earth. I thought I would always be in the background." Larray looked at the water. "Now you are in the center," he smiled. "I didn't expect any of this. You chose me." Everyone stared. "I thought I would fail, but now you proved yourself," she said. "I only used what I knew," he replied. "Stories, rhythm, emotions, things others don't always see as important. And those were the very things that made the difference," Larray said gently. Ravi looked at her. "Why did you choose me that day? Not the reason you told the assembly? The real reason?" She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Because I saw someone who didn't try to be more than he was. You were just you, and that was rare in a place full of people trying to impress each other." Ravi's heart felt warm. He nodded. "Thank you for seeing me." As the academy lights dimmed for night, a message spread across the Galactic News Network. "Human student from Earth restores shield system at Galactic Academy using ancient sound rhythm code." Experts call it a breakthrough in emotional pattern. Tech. Earth officials read the news with surprise. Across the stars, many other species read the name Ravi for the first time. But to Ravi, fame was not the reward. The real reward was the look in Larray's eyes, and the quiet thought that maybe, just maybe, humanity had something special after all. The days after the assembly passed quietly. Ravi and Larray continued their classes, their training, and their shared tasks as a bonded team. Ravi was starting to feel like the academy was no longer a place where he didn't belong. Now, it was a place where he could belong, and maybe even grow into someone important. Some students now came to ask him for advice. Others invited him to join team discussions. Even the teachers had started to notice his thinking style different, but useful. But peace never stayed too long at the Galactic Academy. One morning, the school alarm rang. Not just the normal class bell, but the emergency alarm. Red lights flashed across the halls. A voice echoed through the building. "All teams to command. Stations. Immediate situation. Crisis at Zendra Point." Students looked at each other in shock. Zendra Point was the location of the main energy shield that protected the academy from cosmic storms and strange space waves. Something happened there it could affect the entire school. Lee Ray stood quickly. We must go. Ravi followed. What kind of crisis? I don't know yet, she said. But if it's Endra Point, it's serious. They reached the command hall, where teachers and tech leaders stood in front of large display screens. The screen showed Zendra Point, a rocky area on the edge of the academy's sky border. A tall energy tower stood, its lights flickering weakly. One of the teachers, Relay, explained. The energy tower is losing power. The shield generator is not responding to normal resets. If the shield goes down, space radiation could enter the academy. All flight routes will stop. All outside connections will close. We have 90 minutes to solve the problem. Lorraine raised her hand. Are the machines damaged? Marla shook her head. No damage. The system won't accept any input. It doesn't recognize our commands, another student, Juno, added. We tried 3 teams already. All of them failed to restart the system. Nothing works. Ravi stepped forward slowly. Can I see the code? Everyone looked at him. You want to see the shield code? Marla asked, surprised. Yes, Ravi said. Maybe it's not broken. Maybe it just needs a different way of speaking. Minutes later, Ravi and Lee Ray stood inside the small control room at Zendra Point. The tall tower outside pulsed with flickering blue light. The control panel blinked red. Lee Ray scanned the outer wall. No physical damage. It's all system. Failure. Ravi sat at the control desk. He looked at the lines of code on the screen. To others, it looked like endless numbers and alien symbols. But Ravi noticed something strange. This rhythm, he said slowly, it feels like music. Music? Ray asked. Yes, on Earth we have something called loop rhythm in old digital songs. I used to write music codes when I was young. This line of code moves like a song for beats, rest, repeat. He leaned forward, thinking deeply. Maybe the system is waiting for a pattern, not logic but a feeling. Lee Ray watched quietly. She didn't interrupt. Ravi took out his small data tablet. He typed in a soft sequence of sound-based coda, method humans use for simple memory programs. He rewrote the reset command not as numbers, but as a gentle beat pattern. Tap, pause, tap, tap, pause, tap. Then he pressed send. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the tower outside gave a soft hum. The red lights turned. Orange, then green. The screen blinked. System restart. Successful. Energy waves stable. Shield holding at 97%. Everyone in the control room cheered. Ravi sat back, surprised and relieved. It worked. Lorraine looked at him with a proud smile. You spoke to the system in a way no one else could. Back at the academy, the teachers gathered quickly. Marla stood in front of the students and announced, the crisis is over. Thanks to Ravi and Lee Ray, Zendra Point is safe. Shield is restored. The academy continues without danger. The room filled with cheers. Some students clapped for the first time in Ravi's honor. Others smiled and patted his back. Even the older students who once doubted him nodded in quiet respect. Lee Ray stood beside him, calm as always. You saved the shield, she said. No, Ravi replied. We did. Later that night, as the stars lit up the sky above the academy, Ravi and Lee Ray sat by the reflection pond. The water was still. Light ripples danced across the surface. Ravi picked up a smooth stone and dropped it gently into the water, he said softly a few months ago. I was just a quiet student from Earth. I thought I would always be in the background. Lee Ray looked at the water. Now you are in the center. He smiled. I didn't expect any of this. You chose me. Everyone stared. I thought I would fail, but now. You proved yourself, she said. I only used what I knew, he replied. Stories, rhythm, emotions. Things others don't always see as important. And those were the very things that made the difference, Lee Ray said gently. Ravi looked at her. Why did you choose me that day? Not the reason you told the assembly. The real reason. She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, because I saw someone who didn't try to be more than he was. You were just you. And that was rare in a place full of people trying to impress each other. Ravi's heart felt warm. He nodded. Thank you. for seeing me." As the Academy lights dimmed for night, a message spread across the Galactic News Network. Human student from Earth restores shield system at Galactic Academy using ancient sound rhythm code. Experts call it a breakthrough in emotional pattern. Tech. Earth officials read the news with surprise. Across the stars, many other species read the name Ravi for the first time. But to Ravi, fame was not the reward. The real reward was the look in Lee Ray's eyes, and the quiet thought that maybe, just maybe, humanity had something special after all.